Manchester City don't seem to get many transfers wrong under Pep Guardiola. For sure, there has been some that you could say haven't worked out very well, but a lot of them seem to work out in a very good way. I mean, they won the treble last year. And Manchester City have dipped into the transfer market again, bringing a player who I think will transform this team in the future, being someone who could be one of the best players in his position in just a few years under Pep Guardiola's management. And his name is Jeremy Doku. Now, we officially have the here we go from Fabrizio Romano over this transfer. It looks like Jeremy Doku will be moving to Manchester City for around 60 million euros. With personal terms already agreed and a massive step up for the player, it seems like the transfer is going to go through very quickly with a medical and league approval to be seen. Doku is predominantly a right winger but can also play on the left and in centre forward and cam in certain games. He stands at 5'8" tall and is only 21 years old and has already played 14 games for Belgium, scoring twice. Now, Doku in lighter terms is a defender's worst nightmare. He is a proper winger who just has the pace and trickery of any sort of world-class player. But what stands him out from most other wingers is just how good he is at so many other areas of the game. Doku's base stats usually look like 84% of his passes are completed, with a third of his crosses and 2/3 of his attempted dribbles completed, with 60% of his dribbles being successful in 14 successful dribbles per 90. Now, 14 successful dribbles per 90 is insane, and it was only bettered last season by two players in European football, and they were Vinny Jr. and Messi, two of the best players out there. This means when he's picking up the ball and running with it, most of the time, at least 12 times per game, there's going to be a shot or a pass created after it, meaning he is not losing the ball very often and giving away possession a lot. But that's not the only good thing about his game. Not only is his dribbling just world class and getting better and better every year, he also is so good at finding ways to get into the box and help his team, even if it is not through his own dribbles, usually finding his way through progressive passes to accelerate his team's attack and create space for others or himself. He's a very unselfish player as well. He also wins so many duels per game, is brilliant one-on-one against a defender, winning 14 in his first game this season. Although he hasn't been used in many other positions other than right wing because of how good his left foot is, he's actually very good at versatile and has played a lot of youth games on the left or up centre forward. I would personally not really put him in a centre forward or consider that role for him, but left wing he definitely could be an asset to any team. And nothing quite shows his versatility to him actually being a right-footed player but having a really good left foot as well. He's nearly almost two-footed. Although he possesses so many of these different skills, he's definitely most famous for his elite dribbling skills, flair and trickery. His low centre of gravity, body control and unpredictable footwork has a rapid change of pace that has helped him become one of the most effective forwards in a one-on-one situation. Despite this, he has actually fell into a bit of a situation that wingers get nowadays when they're very young, and it's a lack of end product. But he's only 21, he's actually ended up playing a lot of games in his career, originally playing for Angela and now Rennes. He's played over 100 league games already at top leagues and already played 14 times for Belgium. And this has slowly developed him into a player that actually has a bit of end product. At the end of last season, he was scoring and assisting for fun, and to start this season, he's already got a goal and assist in one game. So this may take away that early development that Mudryk or someone else is going through in the Premier League. So we know what sort of a player he is and why Manchester City have bought him. But how does he actually fit into this Pep Guardiola system, and will he be used a lot this season? So first of all, Pep Guardiola does play a positional play system. If you want to see more about that, check out my last video where I spoke about Guardiola and how he fits into that system, and I kind of explained that system a bit more than I'm going to here. But to summarise, basically there's a lot of triangles and squares on the pitch, and people move around with these triangles and squares rather than sticking to a position everywhere on the pitch, and no one plays in a set position. Now this works with the Manchester City players because a lot of them can play in a lot of different roles, and a lot of them are just so talented that they can sort of just do so many different things on the pitch. But Jeremy Doku possesses different assets that they haven't really had in a very long time. He's an out and out proper winger, and as though they did have Mahrez, who you could say is a bit like that as well. Mahrez was very much like the Robin sort of cutting in type, which Doku is definitely not. He will take on his man happily every single time in the game. Now with Manchester City sort of needing that Mahrez replacement and more wingers into the team, I'm expecting him to play right wing for pretty much his whole time at Manchester City, maybe moving to the left eventually, or in game switching out the roles, so maybe he switches with Grealish just for a game for 20 minutes to see against different defenders. Now Pep Guardiola and Manchester City don't just sign anyone, they have to be very specific in their role and how they play for him to get him in. And the reason why I think he's brought in Doku is because he wants to have that unselfishness winger, but can also be very selfish at different times. Now that may seem quite complicated, but what I'm trying to say is I think basically he wants a player that is going to help the squad and not really be selfish, and at the end of the day it's probably going to supply Haaland is the most objective. Especially with De Bruyne being out, there needs to be a bit more creativity maybe coming from the wide areas. But he's also going to want a player that comes on late in Champions League games who has pace, electricity and will be explosive on the counter attack, helping him go past players and will not be afraid to take his man on when they need it. And although he is very young, he seems a very fearless player and very ruthless. In 2021, he said he was the best dribbler in Liga 1 and he was only 19 at the time. He's played a lot of games for his age and he's very experienced considering he's so young. And if he takes that sort of in his stride and also learns from Pep Guardiola, he's going to turn to a player like Grealish on the other side, which we have seen leaps and bounds. He's been so much better in the last year. He's also had a lot of recommendations in the past, with Jurgen Klopp saying that he's a real star, and even his own new teammate Kevin De Bruyne and Kylian Mbappe have said before that they really think this guy's going to be a future star. In the past, there has also been talk about his injury record, by him missing quite a lot of a bit of game time at a young age, but the last year has been okay for him and he's actually stayed fit quite a lot, so if he can keep that at Man City, then it'll be all good. But if he can stay fit for long enough and learn the tactics well enough, I think that he could be a real good asset for this team, and he can create a really good diamond and connection with the players around him on that side, because they're going to miss De Bruyne for the next few months. Overall, it's actually one of the most exciting signings that Man City have done in a while, because usually they just sign players that are worth it, who are good value, but they just do the job, and they're not exactly like the most fun, unpredictable nature players. We all knew what we were going to get from Guardiola or Kovacic or Grealish or all these players that they have signed, but it's nice to see them sign a young and up-and-comer player that we really don't know. I do think he has the potential to be the best right winger in the world, but we don't know if he's actually going to make it or not. So Man City are taking a big risk in this player, but in the end they've got the money to. 60 million to them is like whatever, they've sold all that in Saudi money, and they're getting a player right now who is better than a lot of players in the league who were spent for even more money. Let me know who you want to see next and what other transfers you want me to discuss. I actually really like this signing. Let me know in the comments what you think about this signing, and please check out my other videos.